Welcome here to G&F Legacy Farm. We are a small hobby farm here in Michigan that raises beef cattle. Today's video is going to be part of a multi-part series teaching you how to raise your own beef cattle so you can stock your freezer with delicious homegrown beef. Now, as I mentioned, we are in Michigan, so you will notice that I am bundled up because it is about 23 degrees here and it feels about 17. Now, today's part of the series is all going to be about purchasing your cattle. So we're going to start off here with some terms that you're going to need to know. And that is going to be that a steer is a castrated male, a bull is a uncastrated male, a heifer is a female that has not calved yet. I am in the pasture here, so you will probably hear some noise. And a cow is a female that has calved already or given birth. And a calf is a young or baby cattle. Now, on our farm here, we raise steers for beef and we also raise heifers for beef. Now, it is most common to find steers when people are just raising for meat, and that would be like my best recommendation for you is to start off looking for steers. Don't be afraid to buy heifers though, because as long as you're getting a good breed and you have good feed, they're going to grow out pretty well. Now, keep in mind that a steer is going to grow a little bit faster than a heifer, so you're going to be feeding your heifer a little bit longer, and their end butcher weight might be a little bit smaller than a steer. I would not recommend purchasing a cow if you are looking for just butchering that animal, because a cow is typically going to be about 3 years old or much older than that. And you want to butcher about 18 to 24 months to get nice tender beef. Now, if you butcher something that is much older than that, you can do it, but typically you're just going to want to get it all ground into burger, because if you get steaks of an animal that is going to be like several years older than that, it's going to be tough. So I would recommend just going with a steer or a heifer. The meat will be nice and tender. I would not recommend purchasing a bull. If you're looking just to butcher that animal, bulls can be dangerous and unpredictable. They really only have one purpose in life, and that is they just want to breed. So they can be dangerous and hard to manage. Also, some farmers will tell you that beef that comes off a animal that is a bull at the time of butcher will be very tough. Next, I want to talk about the breeds that I would recommend. First thing you need to know about that is that there are two main categories for cattle. There are beef purpose cattle and dairy purpose cattle. Now, there's nothing wrong with dairy purpose cattle. You can still raise them out for beef. But what you need to keep in mind with that is that they're going to take much longer than your beef cattle will, typically, depending on the breed. And again, that is fine, but keep in mind that the longer you keep that animal, the more you're going to have to feed it, and the more it is costing you to raise that beef. Your top beef breeds are going to be like Angus and Herefords. Those are my favorite. And on the farm here, we raise Angus, Herefords, Seminoles, and we do have some cross breeds that include like all three of those. You'll see behind me this red heifer. She is a Hereford. You'll also find some dairy and beef cross breeds, and there's nothing wrong with that. Those are still going to be quicker than a full dairy breed. Just keep in mind that it might still take you a little bit longer than a full beef breed, but I've raised those. There's nothing wrong with that. Your top breeds for that you will find most likely will be like an Angus or a Hereford crossed with a Jersey or a Holstein. There's some other breeds too, but those are going to be the top ones that you'll find. Now, lastly, you need to know about where are you going to purchase your cattle at. So there's a couple different ways. You can go to a livestock auction. Now, you should be able to find a local livestock auction in the area that you live. Like I know we have a couple around here, and they have auctions usually once a week, and they sell cattle, hogs, goats, and all sorts of farm animals like that. Another place to purchase your beef cattle would be to find a local farm, and you can do that easily off Craigslist or Facebook. You can find a local farm that is selling some of their beef cattle, and honestly, that is probably going to be my best recommendation for you, would be to go to a farm. If you are a beginner, just until you get more experience, like knowing about the cattle, then you can go to a livestock auction. But I would recommend buying off the farm first. There's a couple of reasons that I prefer to do that. You'll see what just walked around the screen here. That is actually not one of my beef cattle. That is my newest miniature heifer. She is 7 months old, but she is still pretty tiny. So she's not raised for beef. We will eventually be breeding her and getting some miniature calves from her, and then we will also milk her too. That'll be our plans for her. So you'll see she is tiny, and she is not going to be raised for beef anytime soon. So why I recommend going to a farm is that you actually get to speak to the seller, and so you can ask questions about these cattle. Now, some questions that I like to ask are, what is it being fed? Because we do feed grain here, so I need to know if the animal that I'm purchasing is used to eating grain. Some are not, so that way, like if it has not been fed grain, I know to introduce that gradually. Also, I like to know, when has it been vaccinated or wormed recently. And you won't find those things out typically at a livestock auction. You most likely will not even get a chance to speak to the previous owner. So just keep that in mind. Another thing is, you might not even know the actual breed of the animal that you are purchasing when you buy it at a livestock auction. So I just recommend, until you have more experience being around cattle and purchasing cattle, what you're looking for, that I would go to a local farm and do it that way instead of buying at a livestock auction. Another thing that is nice about going to a farm is you get to actually see like their animals, see how it's being raised, see like the condition of their farm and things like that. You can see like what other stock that they raise, and sometimes you can even find like full siblings or the parents to the animal that you're purchasing, so you can kind of get a better look at what if you're buying like a younger animal, what it's going to look like when it's older. Now, when you were just getting into raising your own beef, the reason that I cautioned you to go to a livestock auction and purchase your cattle that way is because you have to keep in mind that a livestock auction, sometimes farmers will take their problem animals and dump them at livestock auctions that way. Now, I'm not saying that you can't find good stock at a livestock auction, because you absolutely can. But keep in mind that you can find some not so good stock there too. It is not completely uncommon to find animals there that may be sickly or like very wild acting and hard to manage. So keep that in mind too. That's why I recommend that if you are going to go to a livestock auction, maybe taking someone with you that kind of knows more like what they're looking for and can help you out with that. Now I want to show you just some of the animals that we have here on our farm. This here is a Hereford heifer. We are raising her for beef. This heifer here, this black heifer with the white face, now she is an Angus Hereford cross. So we have our cow here. that we have, so that way we can produce our own calves on the farm. We plan on getting some more cows, but this is the one that we started with. She is a Seminole cross. Here's another one of our crossbreeds. He is a steer. He has Angus, some Hereford in him. This is Dolly, my miniature heifer. She is a registered Dexter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and make sure you stay tuned for other parts of this series so you can learn how to raise your own beef cattle. Thank you. Have a great day.